Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The ongoing wars in Europe and the Middle East are reminders of the threats and instability that define the era of strategic competition in which we live. Amidst the images of chaos and destruction splashed across the headlines, yet another competition is arising. New advances in AI will transform the way we live, do business, and interact with the world. These advances also have significant implications for our foreign policy and, importantly, national security. The United States and our allies must lead the world in developing the transformational technologies and the standards that govern them. That will shape the future. If harnessed appropriately, AI-driven algorithms can provide the State Department with real-time data and insights. This includes everything from how effective policies are in different parts of the world to which IT vulnerabilities are most likely to be exploited by an adversary, to which overseas staffing models are most efficient and effective in meeting the department's needs. We must also prepare for the ways our adversaries like Russia, Iran, and particularly China are trying to use AI. AI-powered cyber attacks could overwhelm our defenses by rapidly identifying our vulnerabilities and exploiting them. AI-driven information operations could target government officials or certain segments of the public and confuse, distract, or paralyze the decision-making process. AI-enabled battlefield management systems could give our adversaries a decisive advantage in targeting U.S. forces and striking key weak points. Since AI and machine learning rely on accurate data to work correctly, our adversaries could also deliberately manipulate or corrupt publicly available databases to ensure predictive models or analytics used by the U.S. government don't work properly during a crisis. To respond to both the opportunities and the threats posed by new AI-driven technologies, the State Department should focus on two areas, and I hope our witnesses will be able to talk more about those today. First, we need to work with our allies to set the standards that will govern how AI is used around the world. We need to collaborate on research in key areas and identify the specific national security sensitive technologies that adversaries like China will try to steal or copy, and thereafter develop tougher standards to answer, tougher safeguards to answer those issues. Ambassador Fick, Congress established the Bureau of Cyberspace and Digital Policy, which you lead, in part to spearhead this type of engagement with allies. I look forward to hearing more from you about the work you are doing in this area. I would also like to hear your insights into how AI could transform the cyber threat landscape and what you're doing about that. Second, we need a workforce that not only understands how data and AI and machine learning work, but also how to integrate these tools into their daily work. I'm pleased to see the department begin to pursue a data-driven approach to diplomacy because it has the potential to improve our foreign policy. Using all the information available to make national security decisions is a crucial part in getting to the right answer. Data-driven diplomacy also helps counteract groupthink within the department, which limits options and stifles critical thinking. But data-driven diplomacy can't just be a talking point. The department has to truly commit to integrating data into the policymaking process and changing course, if necessary, when it receives objective feedback that a policy or procedure simply isn't working. The State Department's Center for Data Analytics was established to better integrate data analysis and expertise into foreign policy decision-making and to develop a workforce that possesses the skills needed to take advantage of these technologies. Dr. Gravis, I look forward to hearing more about the progress the Center for Analytics has made in expanding data access and utilization throughout the department. Any insights you have into challenges and obstacles that remain would be greatly appreciated. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Risch, which is most...
Follow along the same lines that the chairman did, and that is that, you know, if you think back, probably some decades ago, some congressional committee was holding a hearing just like this, saying, what are we going to do about this new thing called the internets, as George Bush called them? How are we going to police it? How are we going to be, because it has tremendous possibility, but there's evilness that can arise from the use of it, et cetera. And frankly, after listening to you, I suspect probably we're in no different position here, and that is, whenever you talk about voluntary, Anybody here think that China or Russia are going to voluntarily comply with any international norms when they think it's in their best interest to do otherwise? I mean, you got a country like Russia that can't even obey the simplest mandate of the United Nations not to abuse one of your neighbors. China, look at them as to what they do with international norms, or as we call them, on technology and patent and protection of those kinds of things. I mean, it's just stunning that they have no boundaries. It's just the Wild West out there, and so I guess Ambassador and Dr. Gravis, if you'd comment for a minute on are we right that we're probably barking up the wrong tree if we talk in these esoteric terms about voluntariness and goodness and kindness? Are we in the same place with this as as we have found ourselves with the internet? Why don't you start? If you'd start, Ambassador.
Thanks, Senator. And just one point of clarification. The voluntary commitments are voluntary on the part of the companies. So these are the leading AI developers in the world subscribing to these commitments and committing their companies to the responsible development of AI.
I'm assuming that you're going to want that to flow over to
We want international
sovereigns.
We want businesses around the world to support the commitments, and then we want the commitments to become the basis of codes and frameworks for governments. Please understand, we're not naive about whether our adversaries will voluntarily comply. I think we need to confront an uncomfortable reality in the software era, which is that controlling access to these technologies is somewhere between very difficult and impossible. If an isolated and impoverished North Korea under strong sanction could develop nuclear weapons, I would suggest that the development of sophisticated software capability is a lot easier than that.
Good point.
And so, unfortunately, I do come back to our greatest source of strength being maintaining our innovative advantage, running faster, stewarding our competitive innovation ecosystem, putting export controls and other sanctions in place on adversaries where we think it can be effective, and trying to shape the global normative framework governing these technologies.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Dr. Gravitz, maybe you could take a crack at what the AI police are going to look like.
I can speak to what we're doing within the State Department. That's my remit, is focusing on internal, so I'll stick with that.
Fair disclaimer.
Just to point out, we have the ability to set policy, and we have the ability to set policy quickly within the department, and that's the first element. And so we've already established an AI policy. We've brought on board a responsible AI official whose job is to be laser focused on the ethical and responsible use of AI. She has brought on a test and evaluation team, a red teamer. She's got these kind of capabilities on her team to provide independent assessments, independent evaluations of AI that we onboard in the department. So we have that policy lens, and then we also have that independent look that we're focused on. And we balance that with the opportunities. There's a lot of repetitive work that is done all over the world by our diplomats, and so we have to move swiftly, and we have to move smartly.
Well, thank you. I guess it's going to be interesting to see how this develops, because I suspect that when the internet started, probably people were a lot more optimistic that there was going to be compliance, and you wouldn't have sovereigns actually and intentionally interfering with other people's elections as they do today. It'll be interesting to see how this develops, and unfortunately, like I said, where you can't get countries to behave themselves in public, how are you going to get them to behave themselves in a laboratory with the door closed and locked and nobody looking? So it'll be interesting to see how that develops, and I have no doubt that you'll follow it closely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Risch. Let me just caution